What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday night, and this is my Chats with Dads live stream. I am your host, King Smith. And if you are new to this, yes, King is my government name. It's what I pay my taxes by. All right, so tonight it is a solo show. However, I do have the ability to allow people to come on if they want to chat with me. The show is typically an hour whenever I have a guest on, but since I'm rocking solo tonight, it ends when it ends. All right, so let me get the marketing stuff out the way. If you are watching on YouTube, I appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. I do this Chats with Dad every Wednesday, but I also put other content on my YouTube channel as well. Engage with the boy, hit the like button, and comment as we go through today's topic. All right. Also, in the link is my community Facebook page, www.facebook.com/slash the actual King Smith. Go over there and like it. Currently, I started streaming my chats with Dad on my personal Facebook page, but for a lot of different reasons, business reasons, relationship reasons, and things like that, I'm going to pivot away from doing my chats with Dad on my personal Facebook page and stream over to YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and my community public facing Facebook page. Okay? So today's live stream, I wanted to talk about emotions, all right? And it started from a book that I ordered by a guy, Jason Wilson, okay? Jason Wilson, I found a YouTube clip of him. He's a guy that lives in Detroit, married with two children, and he teaches martial arts. And what some of the stuff that he talks about is, mastering your emotions and overcoming them, all right? Not letting them rule who you are. And I wanted to show one of his clips, but because of fair use in YouTube, I decided not to, but I put the link to the clip that captured me into the description of this live stream. So I encourage you to check it out. It's likely that you've seen it as that clip went viral, but he talked about not letting external distractions dictate what it is that you do. Like the distraction's not the problem, something else is. Okay. So his book just came in. This is, I think, his second book. And it's called Battle Cry, Waging and Winning the War Within. Now, I just got it today, and I started reading it after work and dinner, and I'm in the first two chapters, and I find it enlightening. All right. He's a very spiritual guy. And like I've said on some of my other live streams, I'm not personally not a spiritual person, but I understand a lot of the concepts and things that he talks about and how he relates them into real life. And it's one of the things that I talk about all of the time as well. Yeah. For example, when you really take a step back, all right, and think about times that you've severely gotten in trouble. Let me just say it that way. Um, it was likely an emotional reaction to something instead of a logical, reasonable reaction to something. All right. And how you handle external factors is key to kind of how you kind of live your life, because you can fly off the handle and cause nobody but pain that is around you, to include your children or your other relationships as they might be. Or you can be composed, all right, but composed in a way that you know how to deal with the stuff that is hitting you in life, so to speak. All right. So I've got 3 points that I'm going to bring up, and in those points, I'm going to share some conversations that I've had with my daughter and some stories that maybe by sharing my story, all right, it can help somebody else out there. Okay. So let's go to kind of point number one, and one of the first things that I kind of started thinking about.
most guys are afraid to really express themselves. Most men are, all right, and that's to family, friends, whoever, because they're afraid that if they do that, that somebody's going to take that, all right, take that emotion and use it against them. But ask yourself this: are you truly free if you can't express yourself? Okay, so think about that. All right. I can tell you that I've heard countless times other men talk about how, they were vulnerable to somebody, all right, just to have that person turn around and use that vulnerability against them. So, what's their reaction to it? It's simple: show no vulnerability, all right, show no emotion, be stoic, just like that, right? Now, if you're choosing to live like that, are you truly free? Okay. If you're allowing the actions of others to dictate what you choose to share and what you choose to show, are you truly free? Okay. Growing up, I can't think of a time that I seen my father cry. Therefore, I was not a guy that really cried a lot in my teen years and in my adult years as well. Okay. I can count on one hand the number of times that I shed a tear in front of people and even really in private. One of those times was out of fear that when my daughter was, I think, like less than a year old, that she suddenly died. It was a dream. It was one of those. I don't know. I was laying down, had a dream, something happened, and I woke up and I could not control how sad I felt. All right, have no idea where it came from, what I was watching or thinking about or whatnot, but that woke me up out the middle of my sleep and I cried. All right. I don't think I did that around anybody. I want to say I got up and I went to the bathroom. Time is escaping me, and I can't necessarily recall if I did around my ex-wife or not. But it was definitely one of those times that I felt sad and I cried. I cried at my grandmother's funeral, both of them, and you feel some type of way about that. All right, because men are taught, you must stay strong. All right, be strong. You know, show no fear. People will use that against you. As fathers, how healthy is that? Okay. I don't have the answer. I'm just asking, and I'm curious what other people think about that as well. How are you choosing to be around those that you have to deal with on a day to day basis? Your family, your peers, and things like that. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm one that I'm guarded with the stuff that I feel and the things that I share. And I trust a small number of people to truly express myself with. And I have a lot of respect for those that allow me to really be me. We can rib each other all day. We do it all the time, but yet I know that I could go to that person and express a thought or a feeling with a certain amount of people who are also fathers, and know that I can trust them with that vulnerability, if you will. It's hard for guys to really express that when society and culture always tells you, you have to be a man, be strong. I'm curious what that looks like. And if you're somebody like me, like I said, I am afraid to truly express myself all the time. All right. I know I can do it in front of my daughter. I trust her. Okay. There's other people that I know that I can trust that with. I don't necessarily trust other people with that. Shout out to Jermaine, Coach G. He was on my chats with dads last week. He said that he loves to show emotion around his kids. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. I think that I don't know a number of men who wouldn't be afraid to show emotions around their kids. I think if you really ask them, they'll tell you. when I go back and I think about it, like I said, I don't think I ever saw my dad cry, but somebody who I considered an older brother, my uncle, who I had, I think, on my second or third episode of Chats with Dads, he definitely has cried around me a couple of times. All right. He wasn't afraid to show that to me. And a couple of those times was before he had his own kids. That's not something that me and him had talked about. But that's my first point. That's something that I'm curious what other men think about that when they hear that. If you're truly free, are you truly free if you can't express yourself around other people? Okay. Point numero dos. Let me see if my assistant's on it today. Not being able to control your emotions can have damaging effects. Okay. This is a story time. There's a couple of people that have heard me talk about this before. When I lived in Kansas and me and my ex-wife was having a tough time. Now, before I get into the story, a lot of the things that I share come from the perspective of me being a father and the relationship that I had with my mother's child. That is not to say anything discouraging about her. People have ups and downs in their lives, ebbs and flows, where your relationship with them is going to be tried and tested. All right. And this happened to be one of those times where the subject and my relationship with the person, is a factor into this story. Okay. Let me be clear about that. And what inspired me to share this story was Mr. Wilson himself, a black belt. All right. This dude's been training martial art for years. He talked about in the introduction about how him and his wife had got into it. And she told him, she said, no, he said to her, hey, let me be a man. And she retorted, well, act like one. And I laugh about it because I can almost guarantee you that if you've gotten into a situation with your significant other, y'all have had that conversation. Okay. Because there's something about like masculinity and someone attacking that masculinity that can trigger you. All right. And sometimes the intent is not to be harmful. Other times it is. And however y'all two decide to get through with that, hopefully you get through it well. But Mr. Wilson himself said that because he was so angry, all right, he punched a hole in the wall. He walked upstairs and punched a hole in the wall. And this is when he had his first kid, and his first kid was young. His first kid didn't necessarily see that first hole in the wall being punched while Jason and his wife was arguing. But then she came up to him and said, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing. And because he had stuff that he had to work on that triggered him to start punching other holes in the wall, being angry. And his daughter came down and saw that. And he said that stood with him for a while because he didn't master his emotions and deal with whatever he was feeling with, and caused him to make an irrational decision. Okay. Now, let me share a story that happened with me. Okay. Me and my ex-wife on one of our first time where it was a knockdown, drag out type situation. And it was it's the first and only time that I think it got like this bad, in my opinion, where I got angry and stormed out the house because I did not want to be around her. Now, it wasn't just her. I was dealing with some stuff myself. This was shortly after I got my heart diagnosis, and I was depressed and didn't know it. All right. Depressed and did not know it. Or, yeah, I said I didn't know it. Knew it, didn't necessarily deal with it. Let me say it like that. And we got to arguing about something else. And when you bottle a lot of stuff up, all right, eventually it is going to erupt. It will happen. Okay. And if you haven't dealt with that, it doesn't just affect you, but it can affect, tragically, other people around you as well. So when I got angry and stormed out of the house, I saw red. I'm talking fuming, furious, but I had to remove myself from where I was at and calmed down. Maybe I could have just walked instead of gotten in the car, which I'll recommend is the smartest thing to do. If you're angry, don't get in the car. Your judgment is going to be extremely clouded. If you can, just remove yourself, walk away, take some time to just calm down. But I was living in Kansas at the time, and they have this expressway in Wichita, Kansas. The speed limit's 55. It has clear exit ramps that you could get off that typically don't have traffic sitting on those exit ramps. Well, I was so mad and I was so furious. I'm doing like 70, 75, 80, recalling the conversation in my head about why I got angry. The stuff that I was angry about, I couldn't even tell you what it was to this day. I just remember the emotion behind it, all right, and how I felt. And I was just driving, and I knew I had to get off on this one exit. Like I said earlier, typically the off ramps off of this expressway had no traffic. Well, for some reason, there was a crap ton of traffic, cars right off of this off ramp, and I'm going 70 miles an hour. Almost slammed into the back of a car full speed. Okay. Ended up swerving like this, barely missing this car, and went a couple of extra 100 feet and pulled over. Called a friend, had that friend bring somebody to come and pick me up because I no longer trusted myself to safely drive. Okay. Friend came and picked me up, got the car. I got calmed down, eventually went home. But in that story, think about this. I not only could have severely injured myself, all right, but if I'm going 70 miles an hour into a car that's not moving, if that car had a family and 2, 3, 4 cars, however much that momentum would have went from my car to the car in front of me to the other several cars, a lot of people could have had some tragic stories that day, all because of me not being able to control my own emotions. I could have ended up in jail for being negligent, all right, going well over the speed limit and somebody else losing their life. I could have lost my life, and my daughter would have lost her father at a very young age. I'm going to say she was about 2 to 3 at the time, because this is when I was in Kansas, and we moved to Kansas when she was 2. There's a lot of different outcomes that could have happened for not being able to control my own emotions. So think about that. Guys, fellas, fathers, men, really think about that, all right? Be able to control and deal with your emotions in a rational, logical way, because illogical decisions, very rational and emotional decisions, can have a very long lasting effect that could be negative to you and the people around you. All right. And I have one more point, and then unless anybody else chimes in for anything, this stream is going to end early, and I'm going to go about the rest of my night. Point number 3, straight up ask your children, how do you handle emotions? Okay. And what did they tell you? So I did this. Today because I knew that this live stream was going to be talking about emotions. So I called my daughter and I asked her, I said, hey, what do you think about your father's emotions and how I handle them? Now, my daughter's 14. Okay. And we have conversations like this all the time. I like talking to her about, life, various things. It's not just my job to, help her with her school assignments and things like that. It's my job to help prep her for the world. All right. And I take pride in that, and I can only hope. And I hate the word. I don't like the word hope, but that's a different story. But I can only hope that I can do the best job that I can to help, prep her for the world. All right. And to give you guys a perspective real quick before I get into what she told me, if you have the opportunity, like I like stuff like the internet, I like stuff like Reddit, and traveling because it allows you to see other perspectives and cultures and have other conversations with people just about life in general. Okay. What's going on in Alabama and what's going on in Pakistan are two totally different things, culturally, in the house, all of that jazz. All right. And when you have the opportunity to see how other people live, whether they're above you in socio-economical status, I can't say that right. You know what? Flag on the play. Let me try not to use big words. Whether people are above you in socio-economical, whatever. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Whether they're above you or below you, it can open up your eyes to how other people are living. Good, googly moogly. See, that's the bad part about doing live streams. There is no editing in this joint. What you guys saw is how it came out. All right. But to get back to this point, I asked my daughter, how do I handle my emotions? And I was a bit surprised by what she told me. Okay. So she said, well, Dad, I've only typically seen you be happy go lucky. When I've seen you upset, it's been when you've been playing video games. And I had to laugh. And she said, and even then, I know you're not really upset. It's just a little bit of like gaming frustration. All right. And she's a gamer. All right. She's a gamer just like her dad. So she knows like what it is to, be doing something in a game and lose, which I like video games because it teaches you about success and failure. Okay. Especially if it's a game that's sociable, where you have to work with other teams to complete an objective. That's the way that I think about it. All right. Because there are some people that are like, video games are, they'll ruin the minds. And I'm like, man, you have to be able to communicate, problem solve. You're going to win. You're going to fail. To me, that's a teaching tool right there. All right. All things in excessive use can be bad, but if it's moderate, you can use that as a teaching tool. All right. So my daughter told me that, she pretty much has seen me happy go lucky and that she's only seen me cry at funerals. Chris Carter said, oh, yeah, you're going to be pissed, especially when you can't comprehend when I'm dusting you in Mario Kart. See, Chris, first of all, I have photographic evidence that your boy was definitely a winner most of the times. He then goes on to say RPG games is best for the mind, especially old school RPG. And there's role playing games where it sounds like how it is you are playing a role. And that's true. You have this story and you're going from, point A to point B, having to deal with situations. And if you can conquer them, great. If not, game over, essentially. But in video games, at least you get multiple chances and save points to where you can start over and try and accomplish whatever that goal is. In real life, you might not have that opportunity because of legal things or just losing your life for making a really bad decision. Okay. But getting back to emotions, my daughter ended it by telling me, no. I asked her, I said, do I provide the necessary emotions that you think that you need from your father? And she paused. And she said, yeah, you do for what you can. And I knew what she meant when she said that. I'm not an overly emotional person. I get really excited about certain things that I get hype about. All right. But I'm not a lovey-dovey dude. I will tell you I love you and mean it. I'll tell everybody that I talk with I love them because I do. I truly love most people in the world. Let me say it that way. All right. Because there are some people that you could go jump off of a bridge and I just be like, okay. I shouldn't say that. It's how I feel, but I shouldn't say that. But what I mean is this, you know, if I tell you I love you, it's because I respect you as a human, and I truly mean that. All right. And that's not just family, that's family and friends. Okay. Um, I can get excited for you and the stuff that you have going on because I believe in what it is that you're doing. And that's not just my daughter, but that's the other people around me. I like when people share their successes with me because it helps me. It helps motivate me. And then also, yeah, I just think it's great to have somebody that you know is in your corner. Okay. You know, especially if you're out there trying and doing. There's a couple of people that asked me about doing live streams and podcasting. I'm not an expert. I can provide the stuff that I know, but I'm willing to take the time to help, guide you or show you if that's something that you really want to do. I can get excited about that and show that type of emotion to my daughter or anybody. But, um, being like lovey dovey and all of that, that's not me. I do make sure to hug and kiss my daughter every single time that I see her. All right. Every single time. Every single time. And she knows that too. And sometimes, like, we might forget or whatnot, but she'll call it out. She'll be like, oh, Dad, wait, we forgot something. Not just you forgot something, we forgot something. And that's fantastic. All right. So when she said that I show and give her enough, then that was her telling me I give her enough for what she needs. And I also took that as she knows what I'm able to provide for her, and it's enough for her. And that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic for her to say and for her to feel comfortable and be able to express that to me. All right. So that's my live stream for today. All right. Guys should be able to express their emotions the best way that they can. All right. I don't know if we do a good job of that. I think that in order for you to find that out, you'd have to ask yourself, do a little bit of introspective, and if you're comfortable enough or have the means to, see a therapist. I talk about therapy all the time. I think therapy is fantastic. I used to think that therapy was trash and that there was never a reason for it and that it was a waste of money and that people didn't necessarily need it. They just needed to deal with their own stuff. And while that's true too, sometimes gaining an outside perspective can help you figure out what it is that you have to deal with and how to overcome your own personal struggles. Boom. We're at 30 minutes to 29 and a half minutes per se. So I'm going to wrap this show up. I'll be back next Wednesday, hopefully with a guest that won't cancel on me. Look, life happens. I get that. Both my primary and my backup couldn't make it. So the one saying goes, he who fails to plan plans to fail. That is entirely true. If this was around the first times that I would have started my chats with dads, I might not have known how to get through a solo show. But now I have a primary, I have a backup, and I even have a tertiary. That's a big word. Get myself a hand for that. A third way of saying, hey, if my primary can't make it, if my secondary can't make it, I can do a solo show. And now that I've been doing these a lot more now, I'm a little bit more comfortable at being able to present a topic or a conversation, whether I have a guest on or not, whether I have an audience or not, and do a live stream, because live streams are a different animal. They're a different beast than pre-recorded and edited content. So to the people that tune in and watch live, hey, I appreciate you. Shout out to my auntie that came into the comments and said, good show. Hey, thanks for checking in. You guys are taking the time to watch whenever you can, and I absolutely appreciate that. And I love you for it. All right. So tune in next Wednesday. same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, across YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. And we'll see who I have on next week. Until next time, take care. Peace.